folks, welcome back to another 10-minute talk with Professor Gallant. Today what we're going to talk about is some things that I've got in my bag of tricks that I have used to make my classroom more inclusive. So let's get into a couple of my tricks. Alright, so my first trick. I had a student a couple of years ago with a severe hearing impairment. He wasn't completely deaf, but he did wear hearing aids. We had a discussion at the beginning of the semester of what we could do in the classroom to make it easier for him to follow what's going on. And it was suggested to me that since the student could read lips, that if I could face him in the class when I was talking, then he would be able to read my lips and understand what I was saying in the lecture. The problem is that class was 60 to 70 students in a fairly large room. So it was very difficult for me to constantly be facing this particular student when I've got a very, very large class. So that wasn't really convenient, if you will. The other issue is because it's an engineering class, I had my back to the class while facing the board, and I would be doing engineering mathematical examples and solving problems on the board. I tried very hard to not speak while I had my back to the class because I knew that student wouldn't be able to hear me. And since that student couldn't read my lips when I was facing the board, it wasn't very fair. I found that very, very challenging. So when I was solving a problem on the board, to not be able to speak while writing numbers and doing calculations was very confusing for the rest of the class because I would write something on the board and then have to turn around and try and explain it. So that didn't work real well either. So finally, a week or so, probably 2 weeks into the semester, the student came up and asked me if I would wear a device. So basically what it was, it's a pendant that I wore around my neck. The pendant had a microphone and a wireless transmitter. So this particular pendant that I wore around my neck while I was giving the lecture picked up my voice, and it actually transmitted the signal wirelessly directly to his hearing aids. So it didn't matter where he was in the classroom, as long as I was wearing that pendant, he could hear me when I was speaking. So again, my voice went out to the class. I could turn around to the board and speak while I was solving something on the board. But for that student, the microphone picked up my voice, transmitted it wirelessly right directly to his hearing aids. So that was a huge benefit for that particular student and for me in the classroom, because it really made things much more natural for me. I didn't have to try and face him all the time. I didn't have to worry about when I turned my back to the class, because now my voice was actually being transmitted and he could hear my voice directly in his hearing aids. So, if you have a student with a hearing impairment, that's one thing you can look into. So my second technique that we're going to talk about is more of our universal design for learning. In this particular case, this is something that I implemented when COVID hit. I hadn't tried it before. I'd always wanted to. But when COVID hit and we went to an online environment, I figured I would give this a try. And this is something that's referred to as the flipped classroom. So in general, here's what it is. Before the class gets together in their scheduled time, I would prepare videos of the material from that class. And then I would post those videos ahead of the class so that the students could actually get the material before they showed up in the class. So the benefit of this is that the students actually get the theory. So they watch a video, they get the theory. They can watch the video over and over and over again. And then when they arrive in my class later on in the week, we can do examples. We can spend the time getting questions answered. So it's a different way of looking at it. So rather than presenting the material live in class and using our class time that way, the flipped classroom takes the lecture or the theory material in a video, make it available to students outside of class time, and then when they arrive as a group, you can use that particular time for questions, examples, problem solving. Then, afterwards, the material is there permanently online. So the students can go back and watch the videos later if they need be. So rather than having the material presented once in a classroom, this material is available all the time. So that's what I did, and I did it because of the COVID lockout. So what happened was within a matter of a couple of weeks, we were shut down and we went to an online learning model. So I recorded my videos, and basically what they were talking hand videos. Kind of like the one I'm just going to show here. So basically what it was a talking hand video that did the lecture as if I was writing it on the blackboard or whatever it might be. And they heard my voice, they saw my hands, they saw my notes, they saw the examples and the solutions exactly as if they would see it in the classroom. And they could watch it ahead of time. And then when we got into the classroom later on in that week, and because it was virtual, it was a virtual classroom, so we actually had a synchronous virtual classroom. So I had a live webcam going, and I reviewed the material that was in the online videos. We did some examples live as a class. They got an opportunity to ask questions and get their questions answered. I found it very, very helpful because of the COVID situation. I'm going to try this once things return to normal and we're back in the real classroom. I enjoyed it. The students seem to really benefit from it. One of the great disadvantages of the flipped classroom is it takes time. The videos that you create take time to make, edit, and then you have to post them. So that is the big downside to this. It takes extra time. The good upside is once those videos are created, you can use them over and over again if you teach the same material. So it is reusable. once it's posted online, as long as you don't date it, the material can be used over and over again. So, there's 2 tricks out of my bag of tricks. So this is Professor Gallant saying, until next time, this was your 10-minute talk. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.